Today I'm going to be sharing a lot of our experience as working in the tech scene in Toronto and now in the world. A little bit background about Optimity. I'm sure you've heard about us recently also in the news. So we are a let's skip a little bit. Yeah, we provide a digital corporate wellness platform for Fortune 100 or 1,000 companies to help them reduce their health claims costs by keeping people healthy and rewarding them with gift cards. So we have predictive analytics and a very deep algorithm for health risk assessments. A little bit about my background so you understand what a lot of my thinking comes from. So I have a health science degree, I have a biochem degree. I spent time in research in hospital networks. I did HIV and then ovarian cancer research and MS. So 8 years I spent in industry, and then when I got my MBA, and then after that I went into consulting and PE, specifically doing research also in growing space, which turned out to be health claims and drug costs. So a rising field, unfortunately, and I thought we could definitely help here. So what we make is a pocket coach. It does all kinds of little tidbits. We kind of pick off where Carrot kind of ends. So they do a really good job about, consumer or B2B. So this is really for employers, for their employees, and then we reward them with $50 Amazon cards, the $600 health spending account, things like that. And it's available on iOS, Android, and also web. So we do have native apps for everything. And then from the corporate wellness side, we help them manage it all under one hood. So centralized hub, incentives management. We do a lot of health risk research. Everything we do is medically backed. And then we have predictive analytics, which is kind of machine learning or ways of predicting what the future risk would be based on your past behavior. So I'm going to start sharing about the fairy tale of sales. When you go into sales, and I look over here at my beautiful sales team, who are awesome, and also my product manager. And it's really, people tell you this fairy tale, which is like, oh, I built a beautiful product, and then I put it out there. And what they don't tell you is, oh my gosh, there's so much time that's been spent convincing people to use this beautiful product, or just making sure that they know about it. So you build it, they will not come. Right? When you sell it, you have to go convince these gatekeepers and people to pay you lots of money to do something that's actually good for them, that gives them ROI. Right? It's a hard task to do. So what actually happens is that you qualify them, you give them a demo, and then you sometimes have to do a POC, proof of concept, or a pilot. And if that's successful, you say, hey, are you ready to buy? And oftentimes the answer is no. Right? And here is the actual problem. Or even worse, sometimes they just drop off, right? There's radio silence. They go on vacation, something happens, doesn't close. And that's the worst thing, because what you as a startup is happening, you're burning cash. You're burning cash every day, and time is money for you. So here are some of the things that have been shared with me. I'm going to quote them later, but I work with lots of sales mentors, because I didn't come from sales. If you look at my background, there isn't a single sales thing. I'm research. So I didn't really know how to do sales. And a lot of it actually is a process. I really believe sales can be taught. It's a whole process. It's not really about being like flashy or pressuring someone into it. It's really kind of a two-way dialogue. As part of that dialogue, you have to really learn how to navigate, right? Successful navigation techniques. You need to talk about urgency. Why do they need that? Every day that they don't have your product, they're losing money. You have to talk about negotiating win-win, right? What do you get? What do I get? Can we both get something out of it? Which happens in the value-based care type of pricing model. And the last thing, oh my gosh, as a female founder, and as I'm not a shy person, but I'm kind of money shy. I don't, if I pay for somebody's meal, I don't oftentimes ask them to pay me back, or I don't do that. So I don't ask for the sale. I remember pitching to investors, and at the end, you're like, are you kind of interested in my startup? So nervous. But part of it is just like, okay, are you ready to buy? And saying it in a way that convinces conveys value in what you do, really believing in that value. I'm going to kind of break that down a little bit. The first part is about objection handling. I use a framework called Meyer. So it's listen, acknowledge, explore, respond. So it's quite simple, but a lot of times when you listen to something, what entrepreneurs tend to do, they're action focused. You hear something, you just respond, right? And that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to actually go through a process. So the first part is about acknowledgement. We're going to do a little exercise here. One is, we don't have budget. Okay, how would you respond to that?
Can you find it somewhere? Do you have budget to pay for costs in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, very good. So let's acknowledge first, okay? I understand that you don't have budget right now. And then you dig deeper and say, but when is your next budget cycle, right? So it's really about acknowledging and having that two-way dialogue. Let's try another one, very good. Let's keep on going. We want X feature, and you don't have it. Who wants to answer that one?
What value is that feature going to provide?
Very good. Very, very good. So I understand that you're looking for that feature. So we get like biometric screening. We want to do biometric screening. Why don't you, since you don't have it, why don't you do that? And I say, well, I understand you want biometric screening, which does this, right? Which provides the value that, well, what does it do? What functionality are you trying to find that's useful with that? They say, oh, we want to know what the risks of our employees are. And I say, hey, I do have a dynamic health risk assessment, and it's much cheaper, right? It's about 5% the cost of a biometric screening. Does that sound interesting to you? Then they're like, oh yeah, you don't really need biometric screening. So it's just a little trick, so I'm sure you can find that in your business too. So I'm going to go through a case study, and this is a real situation that happened. It didn't happen to my company, but one of my mentors, I'm going to mention him later at the end of it, happened to his company, so I just swapped out of the names, but the situation is real. So Optimity enters into a sales cycle with a mid-sized tech company, Atlas, and competing against Habits Rewarded, all fictional, a full, well-funded startup that has a poorly executed web product. Okay? Going in, we felt like we had the edge, okay? Because, hey, I knew Atlas' CEO, right? I know them from a networking event, I know who they are. I felt that our product is better. We have native apps, right? We won awards. We think our apps are better, okay? Our value props are closely aligned. So we have an ROI for health claims cost, which is so hard to do in the wellness space. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm so aligned closely with that. And traditionally, once people try our product, they always buy, right? That's been my experience. Guess what happened? We lost. That's bad. Okay, so let's dissect it a little bit more. The objections that we heard, like, oh, why? Your trial period was too short. And our execs did not believe in digital wellness. So now, knowing our layer framework, we're going to acknowledge that, okay, all right. So let's dig in deeper, why? Well, your trial period was too short. We didn't have the resources to commit at the start of the project. By the time we got them, the evaluation period was almost done. When we did have resources, we were only able to assign a junior person on it. Interesting. Because we were strapped for time, we opted for decision by committee. That's bad news for enterprise sales, right? Right. Okay, good. Learning. So the second one is our execs didn't believe in digital. Who doesn't believe in digital? You guys all put your hands up for mobile, right? Who doesn't believe in digital? Okay, so what really happened is that we didn't get the execs on board at the beginning. At the committee meeting, the internal politics surfaced that an exec, whose name we shall not share with the vendor, voiced that they do not believe in software for wellness. Now we're going to go back to in-person trainings that I don't even give, that won't give me any participation in results, right? So we can really see a frustrated HR person here. So what are you guys learning from that dialogue? Shout it out. Not all at once, of course. Talk to the execs, right? Okay. What else did you learn? We didn't talk to the decision maker. Pardon me? yes, there's a customer between, there's a gap between what the company wanted and then what the HR person wanted. Yes?
Didn't ask enough questions up front, or
Yeah, we didn't do enough troubleshooting up front, right? Okay. So now based on that, we're like, okay, perfect. Now we know all the answers. We're ready to go back and handle all the objections, right? Yeah. Because by that time, it's already too late, right? You can't go back to that sale anymore. That one's just like one for the books. It's a learning experience. So we really needed this information much earlier to be successful. So you can only apply it for the future ones. So some of the framework that I learned to work with are these four things. So one is understanding landscape. Two is understanding buying process. Three is diffusing bombs. So you're absolutely right, diffusing bombs before they explode. And then the last one is actually exchange. There wasn't an exchange, right? It wasn't like, oh, I'll give you this, because it was just us giving. We're just giving the whole time. Free trial, you got it. You want more people, you got it, right? You want us to come to your office, you got it, right? And that's not really valuing your time. If you're dating somebody who's like that, I don't know, right? That's a pretty needy person. I don't know if you value that person that much, right? So I'm going to break it down. So in terms of understanding buyer landscape, I've come up with a lot of, actually this is a lot of, actually all of it's taught to me really, but these are things that you can say. And I believe this is going to be shared later on SlideShare, so you can download this. So you can kind of use these for your day-to-day Excel. I know lots of entrepreneurs here. In really understanding the landscape, digging deeper, knowing the why question. And then the buying process as well, right? Who will be signing off on a purchase decision? Any approvals needed? Because sometimes people will be like, yeah, I'm the decision maker. But then you dig deeper and you say, so you're the only person that needs to sign this. Are there other people that have voice? You go, oh, actually, I have to report to my manager. You see that every day, right? If you decide to buy this solution, what would the next steps be? That would help you understand what the buying process is. Diffusing bombs. So I have tons of this. I'm just going to share three. The first one is pricing. So it's really important to share pricing in your first meeting because it helps save both of you time. So I found this very helpful for enterprise sales. Say, I'm sure you're concerned about price. Our typical deal ranges from $70,000 to $100,000 annually. Would that be a problem to you? They say, we don't have a budget? All right. Well, thank you. Let's talk again next year when you have a budget. But they already have that in their head. The second one is project milestones. A lot of people don't set them, so we set them. So ultimate success failure for this pilot, especially when you're trying to move from pilot to a real launch, it's really important to have that negotiated at the beginning of the pilot, because otherwise you're just giving in. And then the last one, keep in radio contact, right? So at the end of the meeting, thank you for the meeting. I just want you to circle back with your team, it's fine, but let's set up a time. Does the next Wednesday, we can't work for you. Make sure you set the time for the next meeting in that particular meeting. And the last thing, give and take. It's a bilateral relationship. Friction, I find in my sales process is a good thing. It demonstrates to them how much you know about your business, and it demonstrates that you have value and your time is valuable. There's literally thousands of other organizations we could be working with right now. Why? I think this will be valuable to you, but let me know if you actually have the resources and timeline committed to be successful. Because if you don't, it's not a good time. Right? Be willing to challenge. So Challenger Sales is great as a book for those of you that are reading that. The Challenger Customer is also awesome. Don't give up on things that's important to you without concessions. Hold them accountable. If they miss your meeting, right? Say, hey, I'm not going to schedule another meeting until we have some confirmation. Be sure. So a lot of negotiating tactics that I have to want to give you all the resources that we have. So only negotiate once a solution is sold. If you negotiate too early, it just gives more opportunity for them to say no, and they'll get more concessions out of you as well. Contracts are like salaries, so make sure that any concessions you make, we treat things fairly, we put things right onto the website so they know. I remember the goal is to close a deal immediately. A deal closed this month is better than a deal closed 6 months later. Some levers. Oh, I love this. So when this was taught to me, I'm like, thank you, this is amazing. So some of the things, you don't have to negotiate on price. I'm gonna go back. You don't have to negotiate on price. There's many, many very valuable things to your customer that are not price related. So the first one is, X month free. Backloaded payments. This happened for us, right? We're a startup. We can't afford to pay for X cloud. He said, no problem. The first few months, $500. The next few months, you'll just pay back the difference, right? Because by that time, you'll be a big startup. You have lots of revenue. Okay. So that works on everybody. One-time discounts. First year price, right? And for the first year, you get $5,000 off. Not again. Marketing concessions. Oh, can you do a case study for me? Right? We give away $2,000 usually for every case study. And extra services. Now we have a client services, client success department, charging for that. Really, really good. This is really for me. This is for me to say verbally to you, because you retain 90% of what you say to other people, right? So this is me saying this to you, remind myself, close the sale. So get verbal confirmation, follow up with instructions, ask admin for details when you're doing signing. So oftentimes when you're asked, so a Salesforce person actually taught me this. So when you're giving them a contract, actually say, what's the first, can you just help me spell out your first name and last name, please? And give me the business address. This gets them thinking about actually completing it administratively, and less so about negotiating the final points. And then make it really easy. Remove friction at this point, which is send via DocuSign, right? Like, don't give them friction, just scan in something. There's so many things I haven't scanned in, right? So this is fine. Well, thank you for allowing me to share with you lots of this stuff that Optimity is currently using. And I wanted to give a big shout out to all the people that have taught me. So Jordan, who I stole like 90% of the content from. Susan, who's coaching me through this out of Elspark in Ottawa. Shout out to Ottawa. And then also 500 Startups, so we're currently in batch 20, which is why we're spending a lot of time in SF. It's a great place, but trials matter. So, thank you.
During your negotiations, are you able to tell from whether it's verbal or non-verbal communication between a potential customer who is giving resistance versus ones that they're not going to convert, they're just trying to be polite, as opposed to a person just giving you objection? So when you know when to push, when you know like this person's not going to close, they're just being polite. What are the cues that you look for?
Who's your ideal customer? How big are they? What industry are they in? Like Fortune 1000 companies?
Like mid to large.
Mid to large. What's the position you're selling to?
Well, this is not about my startup, but I just wanted to know because I have a friend who's in software sales and I feel like he comes across this challenge sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. So rule one in sales, understand who your target customer is, because I will give you a very different answer based on if you're selling to the CFO, to the head of HR, to the CEO. They want different things. I think I look at two things mainly. One is that, are they escalating? Are they bringing other people into this deal? Because time is valuable, right? So for example, if you're talking to the same person, and it's the same person after the third and the fourth meeting, I think that's a bit of a problem. They're not acting like a champion. They may say that, hey, I'm a champion for your product, but they're not acting like a champion. Usually champions bring in additional people. Their boss, their subordinate, people across. I want your opinion on this, right? So that's interesting. The second thing is time. How much time are they giving you? So we set our meetings depending on the need. It escalates in time. So our discovery calls are like 15, 20 minutes. Our demos are 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes. And we see if they run out of time. time. Like sometimes they run past the time, we like that. That means that they're interested, right? They're spending more time with you. And then we ask them at the end, like, let's book the next meeting. Who are you going to bring to the next meeting? What are the next steps? It's really about holding them accountable to those next steps so that what's after that doesn't happen. Like, don't send your contract on your first meeting, right? Like, you don't propose with a wedding ring on your first date, right? You don't do that. So think about it like dating or feeding a squirrel. You give a little bit, and then eventually, right? Okay. Does that help? Okay.
Do you ever do like test selling, like where you'll ask them questions as an experiment to see if they're ready to buy, things like that? Any tricks for that?
I don't. I know people that do. At 500, they do a lot of growth experiments. I don't, because I myself find it easier to speak truth, and like I have a bit of a problem, like I'm a terrible liar. It's not very good. But yeah, there's people that do that. People say, oh, like my product is shutting down. There's that text, right? Like my product is shutting down next week. Like how do you feel, or whatever it is, or there's only 2 days left until this. Like you can do tests on those, and I know lots of people who've been successful at doing that. We just don't do that because that's a personality.
Like if we could resolve that problem, would you buy? That kind of thing, or like like if they're saying, well, here's an objection, you say, well, if we can resolve this question, would you buy the product, right? So you can kind of short circuit and know if you still should talk to them.
Okay, so I do have a trick for that. So sometimes they'll say, oh, we're not buying, like, we would buy this if you just build this feature for me. I would say, okay, well, please sign here and then add this feature into this line as part of the contract, please. Then return that back to me, right? Like, don't use that as an excuse to defer, but do that. And we did have someone that did that. So recently I have a channel that did that. They're like, if we could only defer our fees until next year, not all of it, just a portion of it, a couple months, then we'll do it. I said, okay, all right, put it right into the contract. You can write it in pen, and I will accept that. So please sign it, and he sent it right back. So I knew that he was serious, but lots of people do waste your time.
Perfect. So we're going to end it there because we've already gone over. Thank you. Thanks, Jake.